Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. J.J. Abrams returns again to direct the final episode in the Skywalker Saga. We follow Rey, Finn, and Poe, basically bouncing around trying to find out why Palpatine's returned. Spoiler alert. Guys,
It's not really a spoiler when the first line of the film is like announcing to the audience, Palpatine is back.
Yeah.
So-
The dead speaks.
Yeah, the dead speaks. Palpatine is back, and you're like, oh wow, I don't think we've heard that name at all for the last 5 hours of these movies.
Yeah, well, it's a bit weird because it's like it builds up with the visuals, like him going to Palpatine's cave. Like they could have played that even as a reveal.
Yeah,
And it's like you know who he's going to see.
I think they also hinted at it in the trailers as well.
Yeah.
Which I think they should have downplayed a lot.
Yeah.
If they were going for that, they should have downplayed that.
Yeah, but they brought it up in that entry, like with the words coming up on the screen, starting with "somehow has come back." I don't know.
It was a quote in the film. Palpatine has somehow returned.
Yeah,
They can't explain why he's returned or how he's returned. They just go, he's back. Like, why?
It's like the characters not being able to explain it is good enough for the audience. Like weird little babies and like, oh yeah, that's okay. Yep, that's a good answer.
The movie was like that constantly though. It would introduce a new thing and then it just move on to the next thing before you really even had a chance to be like, what the fuck did I just see? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it has to set up something that hasn't been set up in the film where it's meant to be concluding everything.
Yeah.
I also think that it's sort of like you're just saying that they should have kept it from the trailers, so it has a bit of a bigger thing. But it's also probably the only thing that was driving people to go and see this film. I mean, you look at the trailers for it. So they're in the desert and they're in a bit of a high speed pursuit, and that's about it. That's all you get from these. I'm not sure if there were any other anything else that came out.
Yeah. Well, the trailer kind of spoiled that Kylo and Rey were gonna fight together.
Yeah.
Well, no, they kind of teased it because it made it look like they were both striking down the pillar that Darth Vader's helmet sits on.
Oh, okay.
When really that was just a cut from the scene where they fight and their sabers go out of control and it hits the thing.
Yeah.
But it's made to look like they're both teaming up to kill the Sith.
See, because I went into this without watching any of the trailers, so I was just like, I have no idea what was happening like the whole time. It was just plot points just like flying around, and it's like.
And it should be mentioned that we would have all seen the first two films already, but you guys only watched Last Jedi the night before.
Yeah. So coming into it from The Last Jedi, there was not really any connection that kind of brought us into it.
Each film in the trilogy feels like a different film in a different trilogy.
Yeah, they really closed the book, and then it's like, oh, we're back again. Emperor Palpatine has returned.
Because I'm like one of those people, and I kind of hate myself for saying this, that they're gonna get my money, no matter what they come out with, just because I want to see what they do with this franchise. But as people who skipped the last entry, why did you lose interest?
It's just like how much media attention is getting put on Star Wars. It's just a lot of bombardment with like toys and media and like advertising and push, and it also doesn't need my money, and I would rather help promote films that I've got more interest in seeing.
So you're saying that because it's popular, you don't want to see it?
But no,
That sounds very hipster
because
of you.
Brody is a big.
Because it's popular. No, not because it's popular. Because it's Disney. So I think it'll be pretty vanilla. I don't think it'll have much edge. I prefer something a little.
You like Endgame more than I do. It's not like you had a problem with blockbusters or anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's still Disney. Like,
Yeah, but it's not one of my
But it's a better
favorite
movie.
films. I watched it because I thought like it would be a big kind of thing because they actually have been building it up with lots of films. Star Wars, at least the new trilogy, feels more like a cash grab. It doesn't even feel like the original creators are the people making it.
What did you guys think about the intro to this film? Like, it starts off with Kylo Ren making his way into find the Pathfinder and then go to
I
Exegol.
thought parts of it were like, maybe this film won't be as bad as like it could be, because some of the visuals were kind of cool. Like, it was big scale, so it's like, oh, it's good and over the top, and like, I'm into that.
But how did you feel like
But
just
then-
meeting the Emperor straight away like that?
It seems like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
if
we're just-
even.
And then in that time, it's just exposition dumping.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it seems real forced to me. That's how words
No, I have to say I'm really like almost angered by this film because I feel like the people that are okay with it are the problem.
Why are you looking?
Because
Was there ever a sequence where you're like, this is exciting?
That is the problem.
Yeah.
look at the prequels, you can see why they might have almost been scared just to have a conversation with a static shot. They were like, those films were boring. These films might be bad, but they're not going to be boring. We're going to be pushing in and moving, and I have a feeling that might be kind of guiding why they were so ADHD. I feel like Daniel put it quite well. Daniel and I saw it on the night it came out at midnight, and we were talking afterwards, and it is pretty much retcon the movie.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
Yeah.
quite...
it is retcon.
Yeah.
So was
the
The
mo-
Last Jedi. That's the problem with the trilogy. It's
They
like,
just
and even the first movie's kind of retconning the prequels, like necessarily to try to get it back to the original Star Wars and kind of copy the original Star Wars, and it was fine for that. And yeah,
I thought the first movie was super like functional.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, in this film, it's not like, I don't have a problem with introducing a little bit more of a force power in one film or what every now and again, but it feels like they just add in so many different things constantly in this goddamn film. Especially, like at the beginning, she heals a snake, and like there's some giant snake is blocking an entrance to something, and she heals it. And it's like, I have never seen anybody use the power of the Force to heal somebody. They could have come in handy so many times, and I've
that's
never
probably-
seen that used. And then it became so obvious. Them putting that in there, it's like, oh, okay, they're going to use this power later. They're going to use this power
and it's
later.
still dumb when they use it later.
Yeah.
I even said to you as a joke in the film, I was like, oh, that's the last time we see that. That's not coming back.
And it just, because even if there's like, in other films they randomly introduce a new power, it doesn't come into play, for like the conclusion or anything. It's very like off the cuff. It's just sort of like, oh, that's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it should be like little things that don't make you think back and go, well, why didn't they use that then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a little bit at the end. What you said is they're trying to add so many characters and add so many new like dynamics to it, and then who was the character that I don't know that Finn has a
Rose?
No, the other one.
Oh,
The-
not
the-
Zora or Zara.
Zara.
I don't know. I
So
heard like,
memorable.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
cares?
so many characters that get introduced in these films.
They
that...
try to set up a spin-off of her
Yeah.
at the very end, and it's so blatant. And Billy D. Williams is like, "Well, let's find out." It's like, no, we don't want to find out.
I honestly thought he was hitting on her when I
Yeah, I
first
thought-
Yeah, I felt that.
Let's find out. Maybe.
Like it just infuriated me that this character that we don't know anything about. Like, sure, she was a stormtrooper. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much pinned her to Finn for the rest
Yeah.
of the movie too.
Can I-
yeah.
Can I work back from this snake thing? They get to the snake. Before the snake, they're in the same tunnel. They see the snake. They find the dagger, which they're gonna need later.
The
right?
dagger.
Now, the dagger is in this cave that they find themselves in. How do they find themselves in this cave? They get chased through the desert, and they fall into a pit that takes them to a cave where the MacGuffin is.
It's MacGuffin after MacGuffin.
Do you guys
after
think
MacGuffin.
about how unlikely it is to find that?
Yeah.
Coincidence, yeah.
I remember seeing them sinking into that sand trap sort of thing. It's like some sort of weird gravel
And I
thing.
thought, thank
Yeah.
God, I can go home.
And it's just like no one already feels like something from the very first Star Wars film, and then like the trash compactor.
Yeah.
But then also like as soon as like we're like what I think like 15 minutes into the film at this stage, so clearly not everyone is going to die, as you said. We're not going on right now. They're all going to sink, and they're going to fall into a new place, and then something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And this whole film. It was like from the start of the movie, my eyes were over here. And then they were just rolling over there.
Yeah.
So like,
They did an arc.
Yeah.
A bigger arc than any of the characters in the whole film.
That's an arc.
Yeah, that's an arc.
Speaking of arcs, let's talk about C-3PO's arc.
Oh,
Yeah.
C-3PO in this movie.
It was
Uh,
awful.
Taking one last look
Ah,
at my friends.
everything that came out of his mouth was annoying as
Right?
I wanted
Yeah.
to punch him in his robotic face.
But everyone did. That's why it wasn't as sentimental, because the whole film everyone was like, "Fuck up, C-3PO." And then all of a sudden they were like sad that he was fucked. Because the whole film, they hated it. The whole film.
I
No
think they were
kidding,
trying
man.
to do like the Empire Strikes Back thing where they just treat C-3PO like shit the whole time.
Yeah, but it wasn't
But
endearing.
it's-
It was
yeah.
kind of just shitty.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, the dialogue, the C-3PO's dialogue is just so corny. Like, ugh.
I feel like C3, he's always maybe been a bit corny, but like
He's never been that corny.
It was like he's
No.
always had a few jokes in the movie, but it's
Yeah.
literally every line he says in this movie is a joke. It's never just like, oh, I'm a robot that has access for information. I'm gonna say something just to continue the plot. It's just, well, maybe once or twice, but it's mostly just joke after joke after joke.
But even in like the prequels, he had joke after joke after joke, but they landed. Those jokes landed. Like when what was it? He was fighting in that arena, well, actually, as like a half like droid.
Oh yeah.
And his head came off, rolling right next to his body. And he's like, I feel so beside myself. I was like, that was good.
See, I remember like nothing from C-3PO in this movie. like I don't remember a
I've seen it
line.
twice, so.
Yeah, probably remember it a bit better. But yeah, with those jokes, it's like that's happening with the scene, and something else is actually happening. It feels like C-3PO's jokes in this are kind of like tacked on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't really have to do with anything.
He was comic relief in the other characters, but now he's in the other Star Wars films. But now it seems like they know he's comic relief, so he's
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
be funny. And it's not C-3PO. He is a robot.
Yeah.
He's like, speak your 600 languages. Don't make jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also just kind of used him for a plot point.
Yeah.
What do you guys like about this movie?
That's a great question.
Visuals, obviously. Like,
I like Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I always like
Yeah,
Kylo Ren.
he's my boy.
Kylo Ren seems to be the only. Maybe it's just because everyone else doesn't have a single motivation in this
Yeah.
film.
I think we should say Adam Driver. It's really
Yeah.
more him.
Yeah, I really like Adam
Adam
Driver.
Driver.
It's
Right.
probably everything I see.
Yeah.
oh, Oscar Isaac as well.
I love Oscar Isaac.
But even I
but
felt like he
don't
was
him
phoning
this.
it in a tiny bit.
I didn't. I felt like he was acting the shit out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was like, and cut. Yes.
I thought he
feel
was
like
just
that's
doing a
what-
Nathan Drake impression.
Yeah, I think
So
he's
was
just-
getting
he's just
Oscar
lovable.
Isaac.
Like
Well, let me just say, he's lovable in this too.
But I thought Adam Driver, I thought he gave the same level of commitment that I
Yeah.
saw in Marriage Story. I saw in this film.
He felt really committed, yeah, and like,
Yeah.
but he's the only character that has like an emotional stakes,
Yeah.
So he has an inner journey of like, 'cause
It's
he killed his
arguably the
dad,
only character given something to actually chew on and
Yeah.
work with.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like even like Leia, who's in this film for all of 5 minutes before she walks off to die in bed.
Yeah, they didn't do her justice at all. They did not do Carrie Fisher any justice.
They take her out there.
Somebody, somebody sees her like walking off. It's like, what's happening with Leia?
Oh,
And,
she's walking off again.
and
time.
it's like, well,
Classic Leia.
didn't somebody tell you Carrie Fisher died a year ago? and then she's just lying in bed and fades away.
No, someone puts a sheet over it.
Oh, yeah.
Someone remembers to cover it up.
You know what I love is that Ray goes back to say goodbye and Billy D. Williams is in the room and he comes out of the shadows and he's like he was just waiting for someone to come in. You
Yeah.
notice that?
No.
No.
So
Lando
yeah, so
was
she goes to say
terrible.
goodbye to Leia and he's waiting in the room and he comes out of the shadows.
I think they should not have used as much Leia as they did.
Yeah. They could have
I
just
see
started
why.
the movie with doing like a funeral ceremony or something.
A big thing for me is along with all the MacGuffins is if we think we've lost Chewie and we're like, Wow, that's probably that's one of the last legacy characters we have. That's huge. Oh no, he's around still. And then,
So
so we-
CP3 loses all the memory.
Exactly.
Important legacy character. Oh no, he's
and then we go into the third act.
Yeah.
So have they really set up consequences
Well,
or a
they
thing in this
no.
movie at all?
No.
Or are they telling us, hey, like everything will pretty much be fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if they set you up at the gut punch and say, hey, by the way, this movie's not holding your hand, we're going to fucking kill off characters and we're going to do things that you're not expecting. You go into the third act and you'd be like,
Yeah.
shit,
What
anything
could
could
happen?
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's really many characters who, I mean, obviously Yoda dies in the original ones, and he just dies of old age. Like he does something, but it still has a bit of weight to it. It still has this effect that, this characters who everyone does, I think is pretty awesome.
He does in
Going
the film
back
meet
to-
him, right?
Going back to
Or is
the,
it-
No,
oh, it's
and that's what I'm
Return.
saying. But he needs this when it's like, Luke comes, he's like, I'm not trained, I need you. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm like one of the last Jedis, I'm about to die, you're now it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And
That-
so it's pretty, and he's trying to find out more about his dad, and it's, he's
I think
losing.
I think that goes back to the pacing issues of the film. Like, we don't have time to mourn Chewie
No.
at all.
No.
Or we don't have time to mourn anyone's death. Like, even if they are going to come back, like, you want the emotional resonance, and they don't provide it because it is just too quickly paced.
Well, that's what I mean. She's like Rey's like trying to deal with her, I don't know, guilt of using hate in the Force and killing her friend or whatever.
Or turning to
That's-
the dark side.
But that's like you
That was
can't
not even
be
a
can't be absorbed in her emotion while trying to have your own emotions for Chewie dying. I don't think it works like that in this sort of film.
I was fine with how that all happened, but I was mostly frustrated with, they're like, oh, Chewie's dead, and then they show us that Chewie's alive, but then they're having like Finn and Poe talk about like, oh man, Chewie's dead. Man, I'm so sad.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like why do we know this?
it directly cuts back to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like tells us first, why didn't they let us, carry that emotion for a bit? Because that actually hit me like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're just taking out Chewie, alright. What are they going to do next? That's intense.
Chewie.
No.
And usually, if the audience knows something that the characters don't, it's that they usually build some kind of tension or suspense. I have no idea why they chose to do that.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything to me as an audience member.
Bad choice.
I think he just sort of returns to them.
Well, no, they rescue him off the ship.
Ah,
Because, they find out, using the Force,
Yeah.
that he's alive.
that's right.
Yeah, we
Chewie's
could have
up
at least
there, yeah,
waited
rescue him.
until Rey went, I know he's alive. I can feel it.
But like watching this for the second time, knowing they're gonna get Chewie back and everything, I'm just like checking my watch pretty much, just like waiting to get to the third act that I'm waiting to be over.
And then someone can get hurt, and then Rey's gonna heal them.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the general guy being the spy? Was that shocking at all to you
Uh,
guys? Did that hit you guys?
Yeah,
What'd you feel about
I
that?
thought that could have been a fine twist, but it
If
just
they-
was so badly executed.
Yeah.
He just announces it to everyone,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Surprise! It's like,
But they made him a joke in The Last Jedi. He could have General Hux, I think it's his name, could have been a very effective character. But because he was so emasculated, they actually literally had to bring in another character to take his place.
which is kind of a bummer because in The Force Awakens he was such a prevalent, like, bad guy. Like,
That's what I
shit,
mean.
he's bad.
yeah,
And like
Like-
every other character, they wasted him.
What I would have loved to see is a power struggle between General Hux and Kylo Ren. That I would
Yeah.
have loved to see.
I would have liked to see Kylo Ren depart from the what we know as the
First
Empire, the First Order,
yeah,
and then General Hux to be the big bad of sorts.
Yeah, I don't know. Every time like they were force choking Hux, I was just like, please just kill him. Like I don't want to see him anymore. I just got so over his character. They could have introduced like the replacement dude. They should have introduced him in The Last Jedi.
Why have a new character? Like, why don't just make General Hux
Because
better?
Hux sucks.
But like, why do you think
Not in
they'll
the,
make a
not
new
in
character?
The Force Awakens he didn't.
Yeah,
they just ruined him in like the last.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I haven't seen The Force Awakens in 4 years.
Well, they've released 5 films in how many years?
Oh yeah, because there's the spin-offs and stuff. Too.
Yeah.
Rogue One I liked. Like, I know people don't like it.
I didn't
Yeah.
mind Rogue One. I thought it was.
I
fun.
thought that's what a Star Wars story should be.
Yeah, I think spin-offs would be fine too. You know, like
Yeah,
unless
don't
they have
play
a
the
plan for a
originals.
trilogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't mess up the original
Yeah.
trilogy or like
Yeah.
the saga.
Yeah.
Like keep doing the spin-offs. Like they're
Yeah.
better.
And it's like there's this massive theme in the film of like it's just not this thought out theme at all. It's not like something that you can take for your life or whatever, really use. It's this really generic, like, oh, you know, how do you know that the First Order was, you know, bad? How do you know? It's like, it was a feeling. I could feel it. And it's like, feelings are not a good thing to follow. Feelings are very, you know, are very temporary and can be very irrational. And it's like, obviously, they're probably talking about something bigger than
The
that.
Force or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the Force is meant to sort of be this innate sense of, like, morality. But it's like, it gives morality this
I think
sense.
the Force is a feeling too, though.
No,
But
the
it-
Force is a sense.
Yeah,
It's not a
it's-
feeling, it's a sense. And that's what they should have said. They should have said, I sense something.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do in the originals, that's what they do with the prequels. I sense a trap.
Yeah.
It's not, I have a feeling it's a trap, it's, I sense.
But there's this idea of like feeling like everyone just has this innate like a universal compass of what you know what is right and wrong, and I think that Star Wars has sort of been a little bit of a bit more bigger than that in some ways, even though it is ultimately about good versus evil.
Didn't the Last Jedi try and challenge
I
that?
think it's a lot simpler than that. Oh, and I think it is basic. That's how Star Wars kind of works.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody
Isn't
The
that
nobody.
the whole
Last
point of
Jedi
Last
tried
Jedi?
to change
Yeah.
that.
But it's not like you don't have like Darth Vader realizing like, oh wait a second, I'm actually a really evil dude who's killed like 1 million people. That's why I should kill the Emperor. He doesn't do it because of that. He does it because he realizes that he loves his son and that his son is being murdered, and that the only way to stop this is to sacrifice himself. And so basically, it's just sort of like this thing that people just like realize, oh wait a second, this is wrong or whatever. And I just feel like it seems so unnuanced or whatever. I know it seems yet again probably silly talking about a Star Wars film. At the same time, it was just like
Some subtlety would have gone a long way.
so on the head of just like, oh,
Yeah.
I had a feeling. We all feel that this is this way or something. It doesn't have anything to do with learning or, you know, trusting your, testing yourself or testing your beliefs. It's just about feeling. I feel this way.
See, I agree and I disagree, like, in a sense. No, I would say, like, I don't think it needs to be more nuanced. To me, it's Star Wars. I think it needs to be more downplayed sometimes. Like, sometimes it's alright if someone's frustrated to just kick a can or something, rather than have a bit, like, big swell and a push-in and stuff. Like, that's what I would have liked, just to have just people just kind of just going about their thing.
That slice of life.
Yeah, a little bit of just here and there, just
Yeah.
for some world building, just to make me feel like I'm just in this world.
Yeah.
It's like it is a bit more of this fantasy. It's this,
Yeah.
There's it's a fairy tale about a princess and a
Yeah.
knight and
Well, yeah. In the original, you had a cowboy, you had the princess, and you had the farmer.
yeah.
They went on a journey together. This had Rey and her helpers.
It's so touching in the original how like Luke just goes out and looks at like the dual sun, and that tells you so much of what Star Wars is about, and there's just nothing like that about it. It just relied on being like, oh, Carrie Fisher. Billy D. Williams. I don't know. That's just like nothing felt like just like I don't know, natural.
What I do like, that I don't touch on at all,
Yeah.
is Palpatine's not fully himself. He's attached to this like robot arm
Yeah.
thing like GLaDOS in Portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
it felt like something out of an anime, or it just felt like it was ripping off something I've seen
Not even
before.
that good. A lot of
But-
anime is at least like epic and
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, I like that. I like that he's kind of half dead and kind of half robot. Which, I mean, it brings up a whole other myriad of questions. But I like that he's just
At least
not
they answered them.
surprised we're back. It's a bit like, he's back, not quite better than ever, but like, getting there.
I liked in that first little 5-minute segment that it's like setting up Kylo looking for Palpatine, and then you see like in Palpatine's sort of lair where he's been rebirthed or something. there's all this really ambiguous sort of imagery of like a tank full of like clones of Snoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
that's so
enjoyed
bad.
that.
That's so bad. Are you
I
kidding?
enjoyed that.
That's like that's throwing away
That's-
a lot of the Last Jedi.
Well.
Last Jedi was trying to say that, you know, Snoke didn't really matter. That he was just nothing. It was trying to say that for pretty much every fucking character.
Yeah.
But I like that they've backed that up in this. They've backed it up. Like, Snoke was nothing.
Yeah.
He comes a dime a dozen.
Yeah, literally.
Controlled by Palpatine. That's what I do like about it.
But if Snoke's controlled by Palpatine, then why is Snoke trying to kill Rey? If Palpatine wants Rey to kill Palpatine.
You didn't like that?
So Palpatine wants Rey to strike down Palpatine, right? So why is Snoke trying to get...
I like that Palpatine is reborn so he can make a plan for Rey to kill him again. That's his plan.
Well, no, I think he was trying to kill Rey, and then once she got there, he was like, strike me down, because this is actually be two birds, one stone. This will be really good.
Yeah.
This would be the best.
This will actually, because once you're here, boom,
Dude,
and then I'll rule forever.
This would be sweet.
She would be killing him in anger, and I think that anger would open her up to receive his essence.
Yeah,
Right, but if she kills him
This
for
is
the
not
right
50 Shades of
reasons
Grey.
that aren't out of anger, then it's fine.
Even though
If it's in self-defense, it's fine. It's like
50 Shades of
Batman rules.
even though it's like this guy is going to like destroy, it's like, is it really self-defense though? It's like, I feel like it's self-defense if you like, you know, there's this guy who's practically like a god and he's been reborn and his plan is to destroy the universe or something. Shouldn't like you, well, not destroy it, but like enslave it or something.
He was gonna, every one of those Star Destroyers could have killed a planet.
Yeah, that's right. So I feel like it's sort of self-defense at that point, really.
Yeah.
Not.
Who the hell was his army?
Yeah, okay, this is
Who
okay.
were those
Okay, we're talking about
people?
spoilers now, alright?
Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
big
Yeah,
spoilers.
We've been talking about the ending anyway.
Okay. Yes, please continue. I want to go off this point.
Continue about
Oh yeah. Who are the soldiers? There was like thousands of people up in the bandstands.
Preach.
Who are they?
Preach.
I like what you wanted to...
There was thousands
He
of
said
them.
he said before the movie that he really wanted to see an Ewok army again.
Yeah.
I wanted the Emperor to be like, "Rise, my people," and then the Ewoks go like.
I thought you had heard that, like it was a legit thing, and so I was expecting to see them all, like, it was gonna light up, and it was gonna show their
The
faces,
Ewoks.
the tiny beady eyes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wanted evil Ewoks and Darth Vader Christian Henderson. That's what I wanted.
That's all you need.
I didn't get pandered to. Where's my pandering, JJ?
In my personal opinion, it should have been split into 1 and 2. Part 1 and Part 2.
But nobody would have liked you doing a 3 original, 3 prequels, and 4.
Look,
which is probably the reason they didn't.
which
A lot of people have been saying like this is obviously setting up things that you have to end, and it
I think
shouldn't
they
be.
want it out a little bit too.
Yeah.
They're just like, let's finish this.
But at the same time, it's too fast paced for this,
Yeah.
and I think in 2 films it would have worked much better.
Just another little moment that I forgot about until now. When somebody's talking about Princess Leia being trained by Luke, and it does this very short flashback to them on Endor or something, and like they're both wearing these masks. Like in the beginning, that's right. In the beginning of this film, Rey's being trained, and she's wearing like this like gear, like a helmet that covers her face and stuff. And you're like, why is she wearing any of this? We've never seen.
Oh
anyone...
no! Yeah, because to be a master Jedi, you're meant to do that thing blindfolded, like Luke did.
And now you do a training course with it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Force is about. It's about being able to.
No, but I will say that has been set up.
That is sense. That goes back to sensing the world around you.
Yeah.
We should talk about the big kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Shouldn't have happened.
This is
shouldn't have
divisive amongst us.
Daniel, how did our audience? There was no reaction at all in our audience.
I don't think I heard any reaction from this audience.
No, we got a
at
massive
all.
cheer.
We got a huge
Yeah.
reaction. No, shrieking, like squealing.
Shrieking?
Was it?
Well, like
Like,
light
yeah,
like
or like.
Beagle-
Oh, it was
Mania.
a mid-
Oh my
midnight
God.
screening.
Like,
yeah.
Like that kind of like,
Yeah.
yes, girls, it's finally
Yeah.
happened.
No, I was into it.
We were talking about this the other day that like, if they kiss, don't kill him, and if you kill him, don't
Don't kiss him.
kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
For the right
I've kind of
Yeah.
changed my mind on it because they did have that connection, and they're constantly being like, no one understands me, and things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like
They've been inside each other's
yeah,
heads as
they're
well.
constantly going back and forth with each other. So I wasn't too annoyed with that.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
The kiss.
Oh really?
Yeah, it felt corny. Like that's what you wanted, and that's what everyone wanted, and I'm just like, that's
See, I feel like Adam Driver's acting sold it.
Yeah, I feel like Adam Driver, he really like pulled me in with it. It was like, you know what, I'm alright with this. Yeah.
What I don't like is his transition into back to being Ben Solo. It's like you give him the slightest amount of sympathy, and he turns back into Ben Solo.
I
I
felt like it was
they,
on the way.
they kind of built with that.
It was that was it. It was basic sympathy.
No, he died. He literally died.
Before that, when they're fighting on that, what is it?
Yeah, he's
The
been
remains of the
conflicted
Death
since-
Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he dies.
Yeah. I think he's been
first
conflicted
time.
since, like, Force Awakens, though.
Yeah, he's been conflicted,
Yeah.
but he hasn't really explored that in any
And
way.
he's not redeemable at all.
He's
No.
not.
Yeah.
No, but he still wants to change.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
He
He said-
might not be able to, but that could be a tragic arc.
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But they kind of reversed that in the Last Jedi.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
goes
yeah.
full on bad.
No, he doesn't go full on bad. He tries to forge a new path.
He says in this movie to Rey, he's like, you can't go back to her. Speaking about Leia, I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Like, that might infer he might be lying to her, but he might be inferring like, part of me wants to go back to her, but you and I can't now.
Yeah.
And so maybe he felt like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I feel like in the Last Jedi, it set up that he wanted to maybe forge a new path, and the film was all about balance anyway. So maybe they should have joined forces at the end there, but that would make for a boring third movie. But then they've retconned it in this one because they've made it him going like, I offered to let you join the dark side. And it's like, that's not what you were pitching to her in the last movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like he was pitching a kind of a joint thing, but we were talking about this. He's pitched it wrong. He was like, "You're nothing. You're a junk trader."
Yeah.
And then he was like,
parents
"Join
are
me."
worthless.
It's like, dude, no, I need some time, man.
Yeah.
You said some rough things.
Yeah, it's like, I gotta process that.
Yeah, that was just awkward.
Yeah.
Look, obviously you guys have rated it negatively. I don't know why I like it at this point, but I still like it. Like, it's not great. It is far from great. It is far from perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I like it. I give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, right.
You, Charles, what do you think of this film?
I really, really liked the sound design. I like some of the puppeteering. And so overall, I'm feeling a 3 out of 10.
What did you like about the film, Owen?
What did I like? I like that it felt like they really were trying with the cinematography, even though it was far too much all the time. At least they really tried effort to make, some dynamic camera movement.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it's generally a mess where I guess remember that throughout the whole film, just because the whole film is just literally trying to get one MacGuffin that will take you to another MacGuffin. There was just a point
But that doesn't go anywhere.
and there was just a point that I was just like, wait, what's happening? Why are they doing any of these things? They're trying to get to Palpatine. What are they doing here? And I was just, and it didn't even matter. It's not like it was convoluted. It was just that I didn't care. I just didn't care at all. And I wanted to give it like maybe something even higher, like 4 out of 10. But it's no, it's definitely a 3 out of 10. And I think you also got to take if this was a standalone film, I probably wouldn't give it such a low rating. And you should probably try and view films independently. But this is the end of a trilogy.
And the saga.
You know, it's the end of a trilogy of movie sagas as well. Like it's
A trilogy of trilogies.
yeah, exactly. And so
It did fall a little bit flat.
and I know it has problems in terms of like, you know, somebody taking the second film, you know, the film before it and completely warping the shape of, you know, the path it was following, but it's still just so underwhelming and could have just been so much simpler.
I would like to reiterate quickly before we move on to Chris, just to end cap my review, that something I wrote on Letterboxd, which I think articulated my thoughts quite aptly, was despite the cast's best efforts, this film can't help but feel like a drunken speed run of Connect the Dots.
That's a good synopsis.
Yeah, that's kind of
Chris?
how I feel.
Yeah, I really agree with that. For me, just the pacing in the beginning and the way they introduce Emperor Palpatine and, you know, everything just rushing to the next thing really took me out of it. I can't really say anything I enjoyed too much. I kind of liked a few things, like when Rey and Kylo Ren came together with lightsabers, and like, you know, I can see what they were trying to do, but it didn't feel like they earned it. So I'm going to give it maybe a 4 out of 10, just because they were trying to do something with what they were given from Last Jedi.
My final thoughts is that, it's just to reiterate, I suppose, just that like each film in the trilogy feels like a different part of a different trilogy. It never really came to a cohesive whole, so this one was in a predicament, and it tried to retcon a lot of things to appease the fans and that sort of a thing, and it didn't work at all, and it was it was way too quick and rushed. And so that it could gloss over some really dumb story developments and everything really being unearned. I disagree with Owen. If it was a part of Star Wars, I'd still give it 3 out of 10.
Okay, guys. Well, that is it for this episode. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that yada yada. Next week we are going to be doing.
If you like.
Yeah. No, just do it. Do it.
Do it.
Next week we will be. Next week we will be talking about our top 10 films of the decade,
2010 to 2019.
And see you then. Bye.